AM, week 8. Where has the season gone? We are
Yeah.
on week 8. The bloodbath of last week of all the injuries is hopefully behind us. Had some trades. Well, one anyway. Another one with DeAndre Hopkins moving to the Chiefs. But yeah, lost Chris Godwin in a way that never should have happened because he never should have been on the field because they should have pulled their starters. But whatever. That happened. Brandon Ayuk done for the year as well. So Mike Evans out this week with an injury. So what once looks like a promising Buck season is quickly evaporating. But neither here nor there. We're here to help you with this week. So we are a forward-thinking show. So that being said, we're going to answer every single one of your guys' questions. So whether you have a trade question, start sit, waivers, whatever it may be, we're here to help. So let's just get into it. Jacob was in here first at 7:59. Absolutely love that. Good for you, Jacob. Would you trade Mooney and Schultz for Laporta? Christian Kirk and Odunze. Sorry, did kind of cut that one short. My other wide receivers are Brown, McLaurin, Waddle, and McMillan. My other tight end is Hockenson. 14 teams. It's a half point PPR and 5-2.
I think in a 14-team league, I would take the depth, and I would go Laporta, Kirk, and Odunze on this one.
I'm surprised that's all it takes. Like, I feel like you should have to give up more in this. Like, I know Mooney's been pretty solid, but Dalton Schultz is only valuable until Nico Collins came back. We have a report today that Nico Collins should return as soon as he's first available, which is only 2 weeks away. And and Schultz goes back to not seeing any targets again. So, like that, yeah. I mean, if you can make that move, I'm doing that all day. I know Laporta hasn't been great. There's the Jameson Williams suspension, but I guess he did practice today, so like maybe they're going to try to appeal it. So we'll see on that. But so if he does, then it'll take until they get that appeal done, so he'll continue to play. But still, I mean, Laporta is obviously more valuable anyways than Schultz, and then I mean Kirk, I know hasn't been great either, but Odunze, like I would take that side all day.
The craziest part about that too is like, out of all those names, you feel best about Darnell fucking Mooney. You know what I mean? Like, he's the guy that you're looking at, like, you feel comfortable plugging in, like, each and every week.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, I still want the Laporta side.
Yeah. 8:08. Evening, fellas. Play 2 quarterbacks, 1 wide receivers, and 2 flex. Patrick Mahomes, Gino, Bo Nix, Jordan Addison, Cortland Sutton, Juwan Jennings, James Cook, Rico Dowdle, and Khalil Shakir.
Golly, man. Gonna go Gino and Patty. But the fact that this is like even like up for debate is a sad sight. Wide receiver. If Jennings plays, I'm going to go Jennings. He didn't practice today. Not the end all be all. But if he plays, I'm going Jennings. If not, I'm going to go Addison. Oh, I did not see Khalil Shakir hanging. Well, Cook in one of the flex spots. Pull up the old rankings here. Where do I have Dowdle? And then I'm going to go Shakir in the other flex spot.
So the 2 quarterbacks I'm going to play is actually Bo Nix and Patrick Mahomes. I really like Bo Nix. One, you get the incredible matchup against the Panthers. There is a scenario where they just run the ball a lot, maybe, but Bo Nix has just been incredible, especially on the ground. But I mean, he has been, all of a top 7-8 quarterback the last 3 weeks with his production. I mean, he was quarterback 8, 9. And then the only reason he was quarterback 18 last week is because they just destroyed the Saints last week, and they didn't really have to do anything in the second half. But I mean, he had another 75 rushing yards. He has 40 or more rushing yards in 3 of the last 5 games. So he's been really good. And so I like Bo Nix a lot this week in this matchup against the Panthers. I don't love this matchup for Gino. especially with what sounds like no DK Metcalf. That's a problem. You're looking at, I mean, obviously JSN and Tyler Lockett, but just not a great match, not as good of a matchup against the Bills. Now I get it. Patrick Mahomes has not been good. He's averaging 15 fantasy points per game so far this year. Oh, they did trade for DeAndre Hopkins. It does sound like that they flew him here early this morning so he could practice. So, like, it's there. And sounds like there's a scenario where he actually plays this week. They kind of need him because right now their wide receiver room, because Juju Smith-Schuster's already been ruled out. Without DeAndre Hopkins is Xavier Worthy, Sky Moore, and Justin Watson. That's it. So, yeah. Anyway,
Not great,
I will say that this is kind of a, there's been some talk this week because the Raiders decided to troll Patrick Mahomes over the training camp, and Patrick Mahomes forgets nothing. But I would probably go Patrick Mahomes in this matchup on the road against the Raiders, who are just crumbling. And so I know it's tough because he just hasn't been very good, but I really don't like. So I have Patrick Mahomes, which is just feels weird to me, but I have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback 14 this week. I have Bo Nix at 11, but I have Geno at quarterback 18. So I would lean the Mahomes and Geno side, or Mahomes and Nick side, and then at wide receiver I would go. I don't think Juwan Jennings is going to play. It sounds like it's really up in the air right now whether he plays or not, because he's still dealing with his own injury that he didn't play from
Sure.
last week. So if he does play, I would go Juwan Jennings. If he doesn't, I'm going to go Jordan Addison. And then at flex, I would go with one of the other ones I didn't say. I guess I could have said that, made it a lot easier. And then I'm going to go Cortland Sutton.
And now that I'm seeing what 808 wrote below, I think I would pick up Watson.
On waivers, the Spears, Jonas Johnson, Christian Watson, Demario Douglas, Josh Downs, Wicks, Trey Palmer, and Bob Means. Video worth picking up. Yeah, I mean, I think Demario Douglas is definitely worth picking up. But if that's all you have on your bench, I would actually drop Khalil Shakir for Demario Douglas. I just don't love the situation with Amari Cooper who's going to get. So we have to remember, like, Amari Cooper only played 32% of the snaps last week. So, like, he wasn't heavily involved because he obviously coming over from his trade. I think as the time goes on, he's going to be more involved with that as well. So then there's so many other players there. So, like, I don't think, like, at this point, like Khalil Shakir is not like a must, roster type player. And where Demario Douglas is like the clear number one wide receiver. Last week, it was reported, after the fact that he was actually so sick that he couldn't even stand up at times. Yeah. And so, like, oh, that's great. Good to have that information. That has a lot more to do with why he was so bad last week. But Drake May has actually played pretty well for the most part. And so I think it's a pretty good upgrade. So I would rather have Demario Douglas than him if it was me, than Khalil Shakir. So I probably wouldn't play him against the Jets. I know the Jets secondary is kind of banged up, but I still would rather have him.
Yeah, it'd be Douglas or Watson for me over Shakir.
Yeah. So, and thank you for the advice. Like and subscribe, everyone. It's free and helps our guys out. Yes, most definitely. Appreciate that. 808. If you could just hit that little like and that little subscribe button, it would mean the world to me.
Absolutely.
Kanoa, aloha TFA fam. Start one wide receiver, one flex. Ridley, McMillan, Pittman, Ingram, full PPR. Mahalo.
So Ridley was a DNP today. But if he plays, I'm going to go Ridley and McMillan. If Ridley doesn't play, I would go McMillan and Ingram.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with McMillan. Are they going to put him into the slot? I mean, that's kind of what he did in college. Like, that was his role. I don't know if that's what they're going to do with him, though, because it feels like Sterling Shepard makes the most sense to play that, because that's the player you want. Like, whoever's going to be playing that Chris Godwin role, that was the more, obviously, that was the better role within this offense of Liam Cohen's offense. And I think it should be McMillan, but I don't know. I think it could be Sterling Shepard. I mean, it's more natural for him to play there. But
I was curious about that myself before we went live here, and I actually pulled up. I still have it up. Pulled up PFF. Jalen McMillan, 24% slot percentage, just last week. Trey Palmer, 27%, and Sterling Shepard, 40%.
yeah, that I mean, even still though, like you just don't have anybody to throw the ball to, and
Correct.
so like, and it looked like start of the week, it looked like this was going to be a great matchup for the Bucks, but
Looked awesome.
um, I would still probably just because I don't want any part of this Titans offense like at all. I don't care that they traded DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think it really helps Calvin Ridley all that much, to be honest. Like I just don't like this offense is broken, and so and I just don't really love Pittman. Like Pittman's been like very mediocre. He's been about as mid as you could get. Whether it's been Anthony Richardson or Joe Flacco for the most part this year, and so I don't really love that against Houston. And then so I think I would just process elimination. I still like the matchup. They got to get the ball to somebody. So I would go McMillan and Ingram. Jacob, again, another trade question for y'all. Would you trade Mooney for Olave? Yes. Would you trade McLaurin, Hawkinson, and Bigsby for Bowers and Puka or Nico?
I would do Bowers and Nico.
Yes.
Bowers is one of like two tight ends worth that like aren't in like the streaming conversation basically on a week to week basis.
Yeah. Brock Powers
Bowers
has
has
been
been a
incredible.
stud.
He's averaging like 16 PPR points or something like that per game.
He's
So
been really good.
yeah. And then I would probably want Nico. It is intriguing with Puka. Obviously, we saw Puka last year without Cooper Cup, and it sounds like Cooper Cup's going to be traded here anytime. And so, and Puka actually, I think he's actually questionable for tomorrow. I don't think he's going to play, but they did designate him to return, so that is a positive. He got cleared to practice. I just can't imagine they throw him out there that quickly. I would assume he misses this week and probably is back for week 9. But either way, it's still really good news for people who have Puka. If you're able to hold on this long and you're a good spot, because we saw just how incredible he was last year without Cooper Cup. But I still would lean Nico Collins too, for sure. So yeah, pick one flex spot: J.K. Dobbins, Malik Neighbors, Amari Cooper, Javonte Williams, Darnell Mooney, PPR.
Neighbors.
Yeah, easily. Though I do love Javonte this week. I think
Yes.
Javante's an incredible spot, but it's still Malik Neighbors. Jose, trade or drop advice. My team is Kyler, Jacobs, Gibbs, Hill, London, Kraft, Cook, Fairbairn, 0D, bench, Chubb. Guessing that's Brian Robinson, Higgins, McLaurin, Neighbors, Laporta. That's your bench, and Joku.
Whew.
I have 3 tight ends, no D. Which tight end should I drop? Tucker Kraft.
So I mean the only thing for in terms of like trade that I see that like stands out is Kyler. Like I think that's your clear weakness here. You have depth, you have studs. Like I'm not worried about literally anything else on that roster. So if I could flip Kyler and maybe one of your bench players and get a better quarterback, that's the only thing I'd be looking at there. And yeah, it probably would be Kraft that I would drop. Other than that, I have no advice. This is a really nice team.
Yeah, this is incredible. Yeah, for sure. If I had to drop somebody, it would be Tucker Kraft. He's only still seeing like a 13% target share. He's getting there like on touchdowns and stuff like that. It's a really spread out offense. They just spread the ball around so much. It makes it so tough. Like outside of really Jaden Reed, even Jaden Reed's had down weeks. Like that you even feel like somewhat confident in. Like every week it feels like it's going to be somebody different. I know Romeo Dobbs has kind of gotten it the last 2 weeks, but there's just so many different options there within that offense. And with having Laporta and Njoku, there's just no real reason for you to have Kraft. And I would guess I mean, with this kind of loaded roster, there's probably other players sitting out there. So
And then you might as well keep that up. I was looking at his next one and that said, like, is there anything you would change here for start set?
I would not start James Cook. Guessing that's who that is.
That's what I was looking at. I'd probably put, man, so many options on that bench.
I would go Malik Neighbors,
Yeah, Neighbors.
assuming this is a full PPR.
And if it's not, I'd probably pivot to Brian Robinson.
I tried Kraft and Murray for more. Yeah, you're shooting too high on that one. Like that's a little bit too high. Like that's like the tip of the. You're going to need more to make that happen. Like if I'm going to go trade for a quarterback, it's probably like a. I don't know. You're gonna have to find somebody that probably has two quarterbacks. If not, I mean, I think like Joe Burrow, Jordan Love,
Purdy. I think Purdy's value will probably be lower because of all the injuries and everything going on, but I'd still rather have Purdy than Kyler Murray.
Yes, for sure. So something like that. Like you're gonna have to give up more to get Lamar and Josh Allen.
Yeah, a little too high.
Generation X, howdy fellas. I've got Dak, Saquon, Cook, Adams, Amari, Njoku, Seibert, and Brock Humphrey off Seibert. Benches Connor, Moore, Sutton, Mason, Douglas, and Caleb Williams. Keep or change anything. Dak or Caleb, Mason is hurt.
So I'm gonna go Caleb Williams over Dak.
Yeah, I agree. I have Caleb Williams as quarterback 8 this week. So
I don't think I would change anything else. The rest looks good.
So I would play Jordan Mason over James Cook. I mean, I think Jordan Mason's fine. Jordan Mason got a limited practice in today. I have Jordan Mason because this is like a top 5, top 6 matchup. I mean, the Cowboys have been dreadful against running backs, just dreadful. And so I would play Jordan Mason over James Cook.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I would change. Would you trade Mooney and Schultz for Laporta and Deontay Johnson? Yes. I just look at this like Mooney for Laporta and Deontay Johnson because Dalton Schultz just falls off a cliff once Nico's back, and like I've said, it's a couple weeks away.
Just so nervous about what they're going to do with Bryce. This makes me nervous.
Yeah, all in on Broncos D this week. All in.
Yes.
That's the worst part that they decided to bring up. Like, let's bring him back against arguably one of the top 3 or 4 defenses in the league on the road, mind you.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good plan. But hey, it's them. I also think there's a real strong chance Deontay Johnson gets traded. Ooh, hello. Harold, Hubbard, Lockett. Oh, there's a second part to this. Hubbard, Lockett, Mooney, Cup need 2 standard. So this is going to be Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't love. I'm going to go Mooney here.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't really love this spot this week for Chuba Hubbard. Again, kind of talked about
Yeah,
it with the Broncos defense, and
rough.
yeah. Oh wait, I think we skipped a couple. Sorry, let me go back. Can I start Hopkins, please? Help. Uh,
Steven, if you're still rocking with us, I know this is we're running a little behind on these, but if you're still here, who are your other options? This is
yeah, I
gonna
mean,
be
yeah, I don't really love playing DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, because I just don't really have any clue. I think it's very much if he does play, I think it's very much in the vein of like what we saw from Amari Cooper, where maybe he only plays like 20 or 30% of the snaps. Like it's just if he plays, and that is because the Chiefs' offense is one of the hardest to pick up. So there's a reason why the Chiefs always just go after players that know the system because it's so much easier for them to incorporate them. Other players, it's just a lot harder. So I would guess that he plays very sparingly this week if he does play at all. But yeah, let us know who your other options are, unless you're just completely desperate and have nothing else. Mike, flex start Debo if he's healthy this week, or Mason. I would probably. I mean, if Debo Samuel is healthy, then I would go Debo Samuel. I think just because with Ayuk out of the way, it just really opens up a lot.
yeah. I'm with you.
Auden or Laporta,
Otten.
where we're at. Yeah,
I
I
just think
agree.
the number of targets he's going to see is going to far surpass Laporta, even if Jameson Williams is going to be out.
Yeah, I mean, I think Auden's like a top 8 tight end this week, so I think that makes sense. Joseph, great trade Garrett Wilson plus Mooney for T Higgins and Amari Cooper. Full PPR. I'm 6-1. Yeah, I think I would. I feel good about that. I mean, I think as this time goes on, Cooper's going to become more involved, and Higgins has already been just really good this year. I know Garrett Wilson was still pretty decent last week, but that was also Devontae Adams' first game, whatever. I would take that trade.
Yeah, I really like that move.
Yeah, and who would have thought before the year started that you would be able to include Darnell Mooney in this trade, and this is what you could get back.
And actually have a count, yeah.
Yeah. League Mate is offering Ingram, Pickens, and Jennings for DJ Moore and another player for my choice, but I don't know how I feel about it. He also has Puka is on the fence. I'm trading him. Should I try to add Puka?
I mean, if you can get DJ Moore and Puka, absolutely. But I think it's if I were trading away DJ Moore, there's zero chance I add Puka to that deal.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to change something in there, unless they're. I mean, maybe not. I guess Pickens coming off that big game, and Ingram has been like kind of like the tight end 5, just in terms of like guys you feel really good about starting on a week to week basis, not necessarily in his scoring. Then obviously the Ayuk injury opens up things for Jennings. So I mean, I still think that's too heavy on the DJ Moore side, but if you can get that done, absolutely.
Yeah. And he's saying he would get Ingram, Pickens, and Jennings, right? The way it makes sense is offering Ingram, Pickens, and Jennings for.
Yeah, he just Generation just put it in the chat. He has Puka. I have more.
I guess it depends on who the other player of your choice is that you're including in it. But Yeah, if you could get Evan Ingram and Pickens and Jennings for DJ Moore, and depending on who the other player it is.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, if you can get him to throw Puka in there, by all
Yeah.
means.
Yeah.
And see,
And
or
this
maybe
one-
see what he would want for it.
Yeah.
Like just see, okay, how about Puka? What would you want for that?
Yeah.
Who deflects? Keenan, Worthy, Bigsby, or Warren?
So I think ETN was a limited participant today. I mean, I still think Bigsby, he just played way too well, and ETN has not been playing well. So Bigsby's still going to get his touches, but I don't think it's going to be anything close to what we just saw.
I think I would go Xavier Worthy and just hope that
Worthy, yeah,
Mahomes can actually hit him on a long touchdown, because he should have had one last week. I mean, he had the guy beat. Mahomes actually just overthrew him, which is shocking. But yeah, he was very close to having another touchdown last week.
yeah. I mean, whenever you're only taking one shot down the field per game, I mean, kind of hard to get that shit in a rhythm.
Yeah. Kicker question: do I still roll out Austin Seibert if Jaden is out, or should I grab Dicker, Lutz, or Reichert off waivers? So I've had this question a couple times today. If Jaden Daniels is out, yes, I feel I have no problem picking up Austin Reichert or Will Reichert. Excuse me, Austin. I'm mixing the two names, Austin Seibert. Yeah, Will Reichert for the Vikings is my kicker 4 this week. I have currently right now Seibert in as kicker 3, but that's with the thought of maybe Jay Daniels being able to play. So I know they said the X-rays were negative last week, I believe, that he took. So I think there's some chance that he plays here. But yeah, that's the way I would play it. If it doesn't look like Jay Daniels is going to play, then yes, I would just pick up Will Reichert. Well.
Devo.
Evening, Newman. Hoosier. And Daniel, I mean, I don't know if we needed to put this in here this many times, but Vikings or Ravens D.
I appreciate it that it's all in a row though, and it's not spread out throughout the chat.
Yeah, maybe it didn't look like it was going through or something like that. Sometimes you hit something, it doesn't like, and all of a sudden it just goes through all at once. Maybe that's what the problem was.
What is it? Vikings or who?
Or Ravens. It's gonna be Ravens for me.
Yeah. Yep.
Also Vikings D. Full PPR. Brian Thomas, Pickens, or Diggs. Pick 2. Also Gino or Tua. It's gonna be Tua for me. Quarterback.
Yep. Tua. BTJ, Pickens, Diggs.
It's crazy, but I'm gonna go with Diggs and George Pickens.
Man, I think you're right. Really would like to get Brian Thomas in there. He's been playing really well, but don't think I can do it over the other two. I have them all really close. I'm a little bit lower on Diggs this week compared to consensus. Looks like he is a top 12 consensus receiver on Fantasy Pros. I have him a couple spots lower than that. With Kenny Moore being back for the Colts, I think that makes that matchup a little less enticing. But
so I'm pretty close on it too. I have Pickens at 13, Diggs at 15, and Brian Thomas at 17.
I will say, Simp, if you need to swing for the fences, I would go BTJ over Diggs. Brian Thomas just needs one, and he can get you there over Diggs for the week.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think that's fair. I mean, Diggs hasn't really shown much of a ceiling, which is crazy with Nico out. You felt like maybe something would happen, but it also doesn't help when,
Throws for 85 yards.
yeah. No, I mean, not that Diggs has been bad. So if you look at the games, even when the games, whatever Nico's played, he's basically scored 22, 8, but 20, 19, 14, 20, and 7 for Diggs. And then, I mean, the 7 was that was well with the 86-yard game. But yeah, I think I agree with you there. Incognito, what's up, guys? How do you feel about starting your players on your versus your own DST? Like, I like to start Njoku versus my Ravens. Should I start my other tight end, a kicker, or Pitts, or should I stream these? No, I don't. I wouldn't worry about that. I don't think it's that big of a deal or a onesie. I mean, Njoku can still get there. What you're looking for is you're hunting sacks and and turnovers. And as much as I love Jameis, he can definitely turn the ball over with the best of them. Um, yeah, I did see they also signed Bailey Zappi. I'm like, oh, they're gonna this Jameis Winston experience is probably not gonna last as long as they want. They're probably gonna turn to Bailey Zappi at some point. It was wild to me that DTR was the starter, like he's the number 2 quarterback. The dude got to play last year and was dreadful, like just dreadful. What do they see in this guy that continually make him, uh, invest in him? Like Jameis Winston at least is like, I'm not saying Jameis Winston is like elite, but like Jameis Winston is at least a functional quarterback. Like
I
I don't
did hear that Winston in other weeks had been the QB2 behind Watson, and DTR had been the emergency quarterback, so I'm not sure why that flipped for that past week. But I agree. Like you know what you have in DTR, and it's not good. There's a reason why, like Flacco, once he hit the field, I mean, obviously he was balling out, so that certainly helps. But the fact that like it wasn't even a question. Like there was never a week, even when Flacco had a down week, where it's like, oh man, should we go back to DTR? No, it was never in the discussion.
Yeah. So I'm not worried about it. If it was maybe like a quarterback, I'd feel a little bit different about it. But like someone like a tight end, I mean, it's a tight end, So like if he goes 5 for 60, you're probably thrilled. Like,
I was
you know,
literally about to say like he could go 7 for 70, and it doesn't affect the Ravens defense at all.
yeah.
Unless you're playing in a league where depending on the number of yards that they give up, you might get doctor pointers. So but even still, I that wouldn't factor in that much.
Agreed. Over on Twitch, should I start Tony Pollard or Chase Brown as a RB2 this week?
Probably
I'll be
go
honest.
Chase Brown, just because I think they stay in it. There's a much higher chance that since he stays in it with Philly versus the other way around for Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you. Just game script of what's been or game script wise and everything else. I think it allows for a better upside case for Chase than it does for Pollard. I just don't love it. And Detroit's been like one of the best run defenses. And I will say they weren't as good last week. Obviously, I mean Jahmyr Gibbs just absolutely crushed. Or Jahmyr Gibbs, I would hope he doesn't go against that defense. Aaron Jones, excuse me, played really well against that defense. And some of the numbers, you kind of want to wait a little bit longer to see how all this plays out with their defense because of the loss of Aiden Hutchinson, like how big of an impact this is going to have. 1 week isn't really quite enough. So I think everything you said laid out, I think it makes the most sense. I think you probably just go Chase Brown. Thoughts on Troy Franklin rest of season?
I mean, obviously he has the connection with Knicks. And I also find it fascinating that they're finding ways to get Troy Franklin on the field when they were not doing that with Marvin Mims last year. And I feel like Marvin Mims is a better wide receiver than Troy Franklin is, but it's obviously neither here nor there. He's someone that, like, if you're plugging into your lineup outside of like 14 team leagues, or if you have like really deep starting requirements, I don't think you're ever going to feel good clicking on Troy Franklin's name.
Yeah, I mean, last week he got a little more involved than what he's been all year. I mean, it's the second. I mean, he's been like decent at best. I mean, he scored double-digit fantasy points the last 2 weeks, but um, I don't have high expectations. But I also think it's possible maybe that Marvin Mims just isn't very good. Like at this point, like if he's had a year and a half to like, and when they've had quite literal nothing, like,
Yeah.
and they still don't even think to get him involved or do anything with him. So I don't know. It's been like the weirdest situation ever. Like when they drafted him versus where he's turned out to be.
Yeah.
Like a Brian Edwards situation.
Oh, just had to bring up his name, didn't you?
808, you think Dallas Goedert plays this week?
I do not. Didn't practice today. I mean, Wednesday reports again. I feel like we say this every Wednesday show. Not the end all be all, but it seemed like it was going to be a multi-week thing with Goddard. I don't think I don't think he comes back this week.
I tend to agree. This is where we're at. Anthony Richardson or Jameis as my second quarterback in a super flex. And I can start Cowboys defense this week against 49ers with so many injuries. I have Bengals or could get Texans, Giants, Falcons.
Oh my. I think A Rich versus Jameis honestly depends on how many points do you have taken off for interceptions. Like, I know some leagues like heavily penalize them. Other leagues it's like one. You know what I mean? Like that's what that would come down to. Like if it's like if you're losing like a point for a pick, I might roll Jameis and just let him degaff his way all through that game. But if you're getting like 4 points, I've seen in some leagues for picks, then I would go Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy too. And like the Colts upcoming schedule is not great. Like it is not good. Like it makes it tough to even want to play. But this is a 2 QB league, so you don't really have a choice. I mean, but I would probably agree with you this week. But it is tough. That I will say, like just from just a matchup based thing, like James Winston has the better matchup. I mean, the Ravens pass defense has been dreadful this year. I mean, it has been really bad. It's been their run defense that has been excellent. So, like, Jameis has like a decent matchup. It's just they don't have a lot to throw the ball to. Like, because moving on from Amari Cooper, it's like Jerry Judy and Cedric Tillman and Njoku, obviously. But like, I don't know. I think I still would probably go Anthony Richardson. Hopefully, he can produce what he did that first game of the year against the Texans, where he put up 27 fantasy points. Because since then, he hasn't put up more than 13. Um, so I would probably still go Anthony Richardson, but I don't know. And could I start Cowboys defense this week against the 49ers with so many injuries? Yeah, the thing is though, is the Cowboys defense is absolutely just beat up with injuries too.
And they haven't been good even when they were healthy.
Yeah. I have Bengals or could get Texans, Giants, Falcons.
Bengals, Texans. think I might go Falcons here. Like we saw against the Ravens. And I think the fact that they're going to be down Godwin and Evans, I think that's going to make Baker force the issue a little bit more and try and play some hero ball. And I think the Falcons could end up coming up with some picks.
Yeah. I think I'd go Giants. I know Russell Wilson just came out and had a great game and all that, and that was a fun story, but I don't know. I don't think he's like that, you know. And the Giants, it's just the Giants' defense has been incredible with getting pressure this year. They have 31 sacks, which leads the league right now, and they've done a very good job at that. And so I don't really love the Steelers' offensive line. I think they do a better job of getting pressure on Russell Wilson, who just really can't move as well as he used to. And so I think I would go Giants here for a defense. Yeah. Also, Njoku or Ferguson this week? Thanks.
Njoku for me. Rather not play tight ends against Fred Warner if I don't have to. And Njoku, he's going to be in line for double-digit targets once again.
Yeah. McMillions ran out of the slot at Washington, I believe. He did. That was such a good wide receiver room with Aduzzi and
crazy.
Yeah. Oh, Tua coming off IR. Should I be safe finally cutting ties with Richardson? Yeah, I think so. I was talking about his schedule. I didn't really go through what it was, but it is absolutely brutal. They get Houston, Minnesota, Buffalo, the Jets, Detroit, New England, which I guess is a decent matchup, and in the fantasy playoffs, they get Denver, who's the best, arguably the best defense in the league right now, up there at least, and then Tennessee, which I guess not great, not bad, and then the Giants, who we just talked about how well they get pressure on teams, and so there is not a single matchup here where I'm just like, oh, I definitely want to play Anthony Richardson against them. It's not until week 18 when they play the Jaguars that you'd be like, oh, yeah, I would love to play them there, but that obviously doesn't count because nobody plays week 18. So there's not really a week here where I'm just like, I would love to play Anthony Richardson here than this. And so, yeah, I think you can cut him. You agree?
Yeah.
I'm 5-2, Lupe. 5-2, full PPR. Which quarterback should I start, Love or Lamar?
You go Lamar.
Yeah. It is close because, the Browns defense has been pretty solid for the most part. I have Jordan Love at QB4. Obviously, the matchup's incredible for Jordan Love against Jacksonville defense. I do have Lamar just a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Liam, Tua or Rodgers? It's Tua for me.
Tua.
Last trade question. Thanks for the help. Would you trade Aaron Jones and Mooney for Achane or JT? Or would you trade Aaron Jones and McLaurin for Achane and Lamb? Yes, Achane and Lamb.
If I can do Achane and Lamb, absolutely doing that.
808. Wife wants to know if this is a good trade. Amon-Ra St. Brown for Cole Kmet and Jaden Reed. I would not do that. I would want the Amon-Ra side.
Yes.
Arrow, 10-team PPR, lost Godwin this week. My condolences. My starting lineup is now Purdy, Lamb, Olave, Debo, Mixon, Aaron Jones, James Conner, Kelsey. Got CMC, Sutton, Tua, Shakir, and some keepers on my bench. 4-3 advice.
I feel like you're in a pretty good spot for losing Godwin.
Yeah, and I mean 4-3, so you're still in it. Obviously, you're still in a decent spot. Obviously, you don't want to keep losing a bunch of games, but you're still in a decent enough spot here to continue and just you're getting close to getting CMC back. Like it sounds like
Yeah.
it's getting very close for this to happen. And once he does, obviously he's a massive game changer. So the fact you're still 4-3, you're in a good spot. Um, I don't think there's a ton that you really need to do here.
And the only thing I can think of is, maybe going up to the team that's like first or second and seeing if one of them want to take on Olave. But that'd be the only thing that I would consider. And even that's just nitpicking.
I do think you could look to flip a running back with having Mixon, Aaron Jones, Connor, and CMC, with CMC coming back. So, like, you could look to do something there, but um, wide receiver, I just don't think you're solid. I mean, Derek Carr should be back here before too long too, but it's just tough with Olave because, like, I don't know how much you can get for him because of him obviously dealing with the injury, the concussion, but and now just everyone's seeing this offense looks without Derek Carr. Um, it's a little bit tougher to try to flip Chris Olave.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Go to a team that might be able to like sit on him. You know what I mean? Other than that, I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah, I think it's a really good team. I mean, obviously Lamb hasn't really produced to the point of where Lamb has, but like I was talking about, and I'll say it again, like this time last year, we were kind of having a lot of these same concerns with the Cowboys, and then in the second half of the season, they just flipped it on. And we're like the best offense in the league, and uh, you know, CeeDee Lamb won people leagues, and so I would hold CeeDee Lamb, and I think as long as he can get back on track, but getting that CMC boost is going to hit like crack. Like as soon as he comes back, like that you've been able to make it this far. And losing, obviously, you're probably number one overall pick, depending on how this. I guess as you said, it is a keeper league, but or I assume that's what you mean by that. But you've been able to make it through without him, and now you're going to get him back. So like that, I think you're set up to be in a really good spot. You have a ton of depth, so a lot of other
Yeah.
people won't have that. I suck at drawing, so do I. A start A Rich or Baker. I can also get Tua, Darnold, Nix, or Gino.
My 5-year-old can draw better than I can, and that's not like in any way, shape, or form a joke. Two. I'm going Tua here.
Yeah, I think Darnold and Nix are. I mean, obviously, all three of them are. I think it's. But if all these players are sitting out there, I think that you can withstand it. Um, and honestly, you could drop either one of these players at this point. I mean, Baker's just not nearly as intriguing without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I mean, Mike Evans is not even going to be back. It's like week 11, I think they were saying. And so like, yeah, I think either one of these guys are droppable at this point. So, yeah, two would be the guy that I would want to target. Should I try to trade Pickens for Love? Wide receivers are AJ, London, Diggs, and BTJ. Quarterbacks are Richardson and Gino. With Tua coming off IR, gonna have to drop Richardson.
Sorry, I was looking to see.
I don't think you really need to though. Like I would hold Pickens. Like I mean, I think Gino and Tua, I mean, are just going to just be able to do just as well as Jordan Love. Or I think you're able to play matchups if you're wanting to hold on to both these quarterbacks. Like, I don't mind doing that at this point of the year. Like if you have a big enough bench to be able to do it, like fine, just run Tua and Gino. Um, I don't want to trade like a Pickens who I think can get a boost, with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, Gino Pickens really suits well for what Russell does well, and so which is mainly the deep ball. So I would rather hold Pickens than trade him for a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree.
If Juwan Jennings is good, should I start him over Neighbors, Wilson, or over Kareem Hunt?
I mean, not over Neighbors.
Not over Hunt. I think Wilson's your only real question, but I think I still would play. I think I would still go Garrett Wilson over Juwan Jennings.
Yeah. Unless like because now Kittle's also dealing with an injury. I mean, I'm assuming I think he plays. I don't think he misses. But like if Kittle were to miss and Jennings goes, then I would go Jennings over Wilson. But that's like that's the only scenario.
And honestly, this situation can be decided for you because Juwan Jennings didn't practice today either. So you may not even have to make the decision. With all these injuries and seemingly a historically low scoring year, how do you feel about the tight end landscape? Approximately how many tight ends can acceptably be on a dynasty trade block? Thanks, guys.
Well done, Devo.
I will
behind
say,
the scenes, this is kind of like an inside joke almost that we have a dynasty listener league, and there was some chatter going on about tight ends and which ones are worth anything, and it was getting not chippy, just how fantasy chats get. Yeah,
it could have been chippy. Me and Cody talked about this before the show that I was teetering towards going down the chippy path, and I decided to get back on track and not go down that path. But
scorched earth.
yeah, I was not. I thought about it, but I didn't. But yes, this is excellent, excellent comment. Love this. Also, start 3 or 2 in Jennings and Dobbins, Aaron Jones, Kareem Hunt if he's okay. Bixby.
Um, Dobbins, Jones, Hunt.
I would start Kareem Hunt and Aaron Jones if it was me.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about, if this ends up being a situation where it's Jennings is the only show, like if Debo misses, we're still not sure if he's going to play or not after being hospitalized. Um, Jennings obviously slides in there, assuming that Jennings is good. But if not, I think I would just roll with. I'd roll with Dobbins, Jones, and Kareem Hunt.
Yeah. Start Tony Pollard against the Lions or wait, did we already have this? I think this might have been his other
I think we
question.
did it as a different person.
Chase Brown.
Maybe it wasn't, because then we also had the Lever Hurts, right?
Yeah. This would be Chase Brown. Just like the game script a lot better
Yeah.
for Chase Brown. Also, Hurts or Love this week. This is gonna be Hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, against the Cincy defense. Yeah.
Y2J. Hey fellas, haven't used my waiver. Need Godwin replacement. Either pick up Myers or Tillman. Not sold on him, or roll with Sutton and Pittman and pick up Kendre. I mean, if you had to pick somebody up, I think it's Jacoby Myers. I like Kendre Miller as a stash, but
I'm assuming McMillan's not available. I would.
yeah, I'd rather have McMillan, but
We're not going to be any help. I think I would actually go Tillman over Myers.
I just don't know really what to expect. Was that like a blip, just like kind of a 1 week thing, or is this something we should expect moving forward? It's just, I mean, we've just never really seen it from Cedric Tillman, and I know now that Amari Cooper's out of the way, and so that's something we haven't really seen. So he's kind of playing that role, but I don't know. It just makes me a little nervous.
I like Tillman coming out a couple years ago. He did flash toward, I think it was toward the end of last season. Like he's had some flashes here and there since he came into the league. And I just think this is a team that's not really going to have a choice but to drop back and throw it.
Yeah. So, real talk though, trade Mason and Pitts or Kraft for J.K. Dobbins. I love this San Francisco matchup. It may be last chance to move Mason. I would move Mason and Kraft for J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, if I had to, I would.
Yeah, because I mean Mason's about to be done. CH 10-man standard. I trade away JT, Puka, DJ Moore. I get Amon-Ra, Reek, and Dowdle.
I mean, as long as you can, with JT coming back, as long as you can take the hit at running back, I want the Amon-Ra side.
Yeah, I agree. Emmy, ETN, or Bigsby this week. Thinking of benching Kyron this week. Tough matchup. We're not benching Kyron. We just can't. Like,
it's a tough matchup, but I'm not doing it for one of a timeshare running back.
Yeah. I mean, if you had some like elite level guys, I think I would be cool with it. Or players that like are at least for this week or projecting to be like top 12, running backs. I could, maybe make.
Like I would consider for like Josh Jacobs would be like the kind of level that I think you could debate, but I wouldn't drop down. Like Kareem Hunt would be debatable, but I'm not going all the way down to ETN or Bigsby.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Thoughts on Dowdle this week? Talked about him in the running back show we did this week. I think he's a decent play. I know San Francisco has been pretty middle of the pack against running backs this year. So like it's not like a scary matchup that you typically would think about with this. So I don't mind it. I mean, before they got the absolute doors blown off of them by the Lions. I mean, we had saw really two strong performances back to back from Rico Dowdle. So like I think he's like a low end RB2 this week. That's the way that I view him.
Yeah.
I know you guys are both trades separately, but want to clarify: should I do Mooney and Schultz for Laporta, Kirk, and Dunze, or try to make it Mooney, Schultz for Laporta and Deontay Johnson? I think I would want the Laporta, Kirk, and Odunze side.
Yeah, that's where I'm
at. Which quarterback do you start? Geno without DK, Bo Nix versus Carolina, Richardson, May, or Russ versus the Giants? This is going to be Bo Nix for me.
I'm going to go Geno, but I get it with Nix. It just makes me nervous. We're going to get 28 Javonte carries again. That's the only thing that scares me off of Bo.
Nino, I was in the live the other night talking about my worry about Cup's health. The trade rumors finally found an offer. I feel like pulling the trigger. Send Koopa
Troopa.
B-Rob for Brees and Wandell.
Throw in Princess Peach, and you got a deal.
Who's your favorite Mario Kart guy? Whenever you played Mario Kart, do you have a favorite?
I just always go with Yoshi.
I think Toadstool was always elite. I felt like he was faster. I don't know if there's any proof to that, but I felt like Toadstool was the fastest.
Yeah, I actually still play with Carson. He has it for his Switch, so we play from time to time.
I used to, which I shouldn't have been excited about, but like my girl, like whenever Bryson was younger, the Mario Kart 8 on the Switch, we'd play, and I would just smoke him every time, and I'd just be like, "Step your game up, bro." He'd get mad, cry.
Yeah, I have to give Carson like a lap head start because then like it gets even toward the end. Like if he throws fits, man. He's a sore loser, like crying and wailing. So like I can't do it. Like I won't let him like once I get close with like after giving him the head start, I'm not letting him win. But I do give him the head start just to make it a little more fair.
Yeah. Love Mario.
Every once in a while, I'll throw Shy Guy in the mix. I don't know why.
Yeah. Uh,
I would do this for the well. I
I-
I'll say this: if you are worried about the health and you want to move him, I think it's fine to do. Seems like Brees is going back to dominating this backfield after it seemed like it was getting to be like a true 50-50 split. Um,
I would
Wandale
want to
is
know, could you get a different wide receiver than Wandale?
yeah. I mean, he's fine. Doesn't really move the needle for me. Like I said, me personally, I went the cup side of this. But if you are nervous about it, fucking cat. Um, I don't mind it. I would try and upgrade from Wandale, but got to go with your gut if that's what your gut's telling you.
Yeah, I have no problem with the Brees side. I mean, Brees has been, back to being that dude again. So, like, as long as
Yeah,
we continue going on this path, then I think yes. Brian Robinson has been solid this year. I mean, he's well outplayed his ADP for people that drafted him. But Brees is obviously, I think, the best player in this deal. I just don't love the Wandell edition. But yeah, I don't mind that trade. Should I trade Adams and White for Achane?
I feel like you should be able to get something back on top of HN.
Am I just spacing out? Is that Zamir White?
Rashad,
Oh,
I'm
there you go.
thinking.
That's the other one I wasn't thinking of. I'm like, who's the other White? But I'm like, it can't be Zamir. I mean, Zamir should just be fired to the moon at this point. But yeah, I would do that. I'm totally okay with doing that. I know Rashad White had a pretty solid game in his first game back, but it was on really limited touches. Um, he's still going to be involved in the passing game. I just question like how much volume is actually going to be there for Devontae Adams on a week to week basis with Garrett Wilson still there. So, and I think Achane can absolutely explode now with Tua back. Well, we already saw it the first 2 weeks whenever he was healthy. Would you play Grant Calcaterra or Noah Gray? This is where we're at with tight ends.
I would
I
go
think
Noah Gray,
I was gonna say the same thing. I would actually rather have Pop Douglas.
I would as well. Drake May's still not getting it done in the win column, but he has looked good for fantasy purposes over the past couple weeks.
Yeah, I agree. I like Pop Douglas.
Yeah.
That's who I would go after.
Appreciate you, Nino.
Yes, absolutely. Jason Waddle, Mooney, or Irving? Which one sits? I'm gonna sit Bucky Irving.
Bucky.
Hey, I'm wondering who to start this week. I've got Brian Thomas, McLaurin, Waddle. Who would be the best? Thanks. I think if Jane Daniels sits, then I'm just gonna sit Terry McLaurin and go Jalen Waddle and Brian Thomas. I think all three of these wide receivers, if he plays, are top 20 wide receivers. I like Jalen Waddle a lot this week. Really good, solid bounce back spot with Tua back.
If Jane Daniels plays, I would rank this McLaurin, Waddle, Brian Thomas. if Daniels does not play, it would be McLaurin last on the list.
Yeah, if it was, I think I would. Yeah, I would go Brian Thomas, McLaurin, then Waddle. But who should I keep? McLaughlin, Algier, Madison, or Brooks? Free on waiver.
I probably want McLaughlin least of this group.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And if this is just like a stash, it's close between Algier and Brooks.
I think just based off the offense, I would go Algier.
Yeah, that's
I just don't know
where
how
I'm at.
much Jonathan Brooks is going to be able to earn with the way that Chuba's played, and it's just this offense just doesn't feel great. And if they were to trade away Deontay Johnson, which there's still the rumors out there that could happen, this offense becomes abysmal.
Whoops.
So
Did not mean to do that. I just accidentally blocked somebody.
oh no. Who'd you block?
I don't know. Usman. I saw the put them in timeout because they dropped their question here like 18 times. So I thought I was just gonna like stop them from being able to like temporarily be able to stop them. And the timeout literally says the person was banned and their comments were removed. That's not what I intended to do. Just wonder. I thought timeout meant like timeout. Like I put my kid in timeout today. I didn't fucking throw him out in the street and tell him to knock him home.
Well, I guess they'll spam the chat, or else you might get blocked. I mean, I can unblock them, I think.
That's all right.
Ivan, promise we're not going to block you. Dobbins or Javonte Williams for flex?
I'm going Javonte over Dobbins.
I agree. Start or sit Malik Neighbors and the flex over J.K. Dobbins. I'm going to go Malik.
Yeah. So sorry if this is true, Usman. I did not mean to ban you. That is my fault. We'll fix it. We'll fix it.
All right. Yeah. Let me. I think I can go on here and fix it.
Okay. Well, if you wanna take a look, where are we at?
We're right here. Hoosier was up next.
All right. Have Darnell Averich in my Superflex seasonal league, debating on picking up Mason Rudolph or Tyrod, hoping that Rodgers too achy to play. Yeah, I mean, I think Rodgers is going to be fine. And I would not. I know we've been talking about how bad Anthony Richardson has been. I would not be able to live with myself putting Mason Rudolph in place of him. I think you just cross your fingers and hope for the best with Anthony Richardson. Because it's not like, I know the Lions have been a pass funnel, but I don't think Mason Rudolph is going to be the one to be able to like take advantage of that. No D-Hop. Like I said, Ridley didn't practice today with a foot injury. So if they don't have Ridley, they have nothing. It's going to be down to, NWI and Tyler Boyd. So I know Pacheco is looming. Got offered Hunt for Aubrey. Is that the move? Do you think? Arby's or Mason, Cook, King Henry? So you got offered Hunt for a kicker? I mean, I'm giving that up all day. I give a fuck about a kicker, even with Pacheco looming. think you can still flip Hunt, maybe even to the Pacheco owner for something more valuable than a kicker. So yeah, if I can get Hunt for a kicker, I'm doing that all day long. Starter sit Bo Nix or Tua. Kev, where are you at on this one? I'm gonna go Tua, but I know you like Nix this week.
I would go Tua here over Knicks.
Okay. Were you able to figure it out? The timeout.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Pharaoh over on Twitch 8-man league. Should I deal Barkley, Chuba, and Pittman for Henry and Justin Jefferson full PPR? It's hard to trade away Barkley, but picking up Justin Jefferson and getting Derrick Henry back, yes, I would definitely do that for sure. Tua or Purdy. Let's see what I have here. If Debo and Jennings play, I would go Purdy. But if they have a couple of those guys out, I would go Tua. So I'd wait and see what that final injury report looks like. Stonks. Have Lamar got offered Lamar for Hurts and Tyreek, which side wins? I mean, if I'm getting Hurts and Tyreek for Lamar, I'm taking the Tyreek side all day, every day. I mean, Lamar has been going crazy, but treating Tyreek like a throw-in is fucking bonkers. So, like, I would still have to pull the trigger on that. No questions asked. It would be different if this were 3 weeks ago and we were still waiting for Tua to return. But with Tua coming back, and then apparently Jalen Waddle was talking today about like how quickly everything picked back up and the timing and them hitting big plays in practice, talking about Tyreek and Tua. Yeah, I'm taking that all day. Not a humble brag. It's just how awful I am at anything artistic. Like I cannot draw a straight line with a ruler. Like that's how bad I am when it comes to anything artistic. So not a humble brag. I mean I do think my kid is pretty good at drawing for being 5 years old, but that's more about there has to be something sitting around in this room. He draws me shit all the time. I'll have to see if I can find something. I'll find something. Dobbins or Javonte Williams. I'm going Javonte. Kev, I know we had this before. What did you say on this one?
Javonte.
Okay.
I don't see where he was blocked. I don't see him in the our people. I see where they're like we have all the people that like we have blocked, but I don't see his name in there.
Kuzma, Usman, Khuz.
Some of the names that are in here though make me laugh.
Yeah, sorry about that, Usman. Did not think that a timeout would lead to a fucking ban. Like it's not the meaning of timeout. I don't know who made that decision, but that was not what I was expecting to happen. Emi, Mighty Mo, Kyron, Jay Cook, Waddle, Bigsby. Worry about Kyron's matchup. I know Gibbs did well against the Vikings, but the Rams are not the Vikings. This is true. Having said that, Kyron's workload is still too good to pass up. I mean, he hasn't been as involved as a pass catcher this year as he was last year, but that could obviously change if they are trailing early and often in this one. So I'm going to go Kyron and Cook. Ivan, Wandale, Mooney, JSN, or Dobbs in the flex. Man, I'm going to go. This is close for me between Mooney and Dobbs. But I lean Mooney by a smidge. That's close.
With DK likely out, I'd probably go JSN.
Shelton, Madison, Ray Davis, or D Hop.
Oh man,
I would actually go D Hop here.
I think so. I don't love this match. I mean, the Chiefs' run defense has been elite all year, so I really don't love that. Don't really love the Ray Davis. I think you probably go Hopkins.
Dylan, currently 6-1, trade CMC for Achane or hold. This is interesting. This is interesting.
No, because I think once he comes back, I think you're good. Like, you want that. Like, I mean, I love Achane, right? But like, CMC's upside just is incredible as long as he can continue to stay healthy. Like, I mean, he was by far and away the best running back last year. I know he's obviously dealing with he's dealt with these injuries this year, but there seems like too many variables with Achane. Like in this scenario with these two, that it could just go wrong, right? Tua gets hurt again. Achane, with CMC, I know he has the opportunity to get hurt again too. But if you've waited this long and you're 6-1, I'm probably still just going to hold out for CMC.
Yeah, I think so. Fred Boone, Judy, or Keon Coleman? Here we go. This is a question right here, man. And this is not one that I have spent much time thinking about. I think I'd probably go Judy on this one. And just hope for Jameis to de-gaff it all over.
Man. Yeah, I think I'd go Jerry Judy.
808 wife wants to know to play a QB, told her Purdy over Mayfield. She wants confirmation. I don't know why she doesn't trust you, 808. Did you steer her wrong before? This is Purdy over Mayfield.
Yeah, I mean, with all these players out, yeah, you have to.
Yeah. Nick, do I trade Najee for Waddle? Only other running backs on my roster are Kamara and Chubb, but other than Drake London, AJ Brown, my next best receiver is Mario Douglas or Dunzi.
Yep. Though I don't love that you just have Chubb left, but I don't know. like I have no problem trading Najee Harris. I think sell high, right? The last couple of weeks, like it's not as if he's out here handling like 60-70% of the snaps or anything like that. Like it's still been a pretty much a 50-50 split. He's gotten there on touchdowns. Their rest of season is not great for running backs in Pittsburgh. Especially their like the fantasy playoffs, like is absolutely brutal. It's the Eagles, Baltimore, and Kansas City. Like all four of those defenses are bottom five in fantasy and like fantasy points allowed to running backs. The Chiefs have the worst. They've allowed the fewest. Baltimore's allowed like I think the second fewest, and then Philadelphia is like the fifth fewest. So like that's not great at all. It's just the only problem is that now you're just what does your bench look like? I guess that'd be a fair question.
That was going to be my next question: is what do you have after Kamara and Chubb? Is what I would want to know. I think you can get by if you had to with Demario Douglas as your wide receiver 3. I mean, this also depends on do you have to start 3 wide receivers, or is this like start 2 in a flex? All questions that inquiring minds would like to know, Nick. So if you're did have this one here. Back to Najee Waddle trade. I also have Kelsey and Ingram, so I wanted to trade Ingram straight up for Tyron Tracy. Not sure if lowering the value of Ingram is worth the RB depth and upside of Tracy. No, I would not do that. I think you could aim higher for sending away Ingram. Phil, should I trade McLaurin for Caleb Williams and Madison? Have PPR 2 QB league. QBs now are Tua and Herbert.
In a 2 quarterback league, yeah, I do that.
Yeah. If you had JT, would you trade him or keep him? I mean, I would keep him for now and then wait till he's actually putting up points and let his value come back up. And then and then revisit this question later. But I would not trade him right now. Jay Howley, Najee McLaurin, or B Rob at flex in a PPR.
If Jay Daniels plays, it's McLaurin. If he doesn't, I probably go Brian Robinson.
Yeah, I'm with you. Patrick, drop Juju or Tillman for Judy.
I think you can drop Juju for him.
Yeah, I think so too. Also, Dak or Kirk. Man,
It's gonna be Kirk Cousins for me.
Kirk, yeah. And is Drake May stashable? Feel like if he does good this game, he's got good fantasy potential rest of the season. I mean, I think he has good fantasy potential rest of season, regardless of what happens in this game. I think we've seen it 2 straight weeks now. But I wouldn't want. I'm assuming that you have Dak and Kirk already. I would not want to stash a third quarterback, and even if you only have one of those guys, I wouldn't want to because they're the same. You know what I mean? Like May obviously has some more rushing upside than specifically Kirk Cousins. Like we've seen Dak do it a little bit, but I wouldn't want to roll with. Wouldn't roll with 2 of those guys. They're all going to be like in the similar tier for me. Hey guys, I'm late, but how are you guys doing? Better late than never, Raylan. We are fantastic. Appreciate you coming through. Appreciate you doing our job for us. Be like Raylan. Remember to like the stream, subscribe if you like winning your fantasy leagues.
Absolutely agree.
Ooh, apologies for missing these. Appreciate the super chat, Zach. I don't know how that came out, superset, but it did. Which Tampa Bay wide receiver do I prioritize on waivers tonight? I am a McMillan guy, but I do think that Sterling Shepard is sneaky, assuming he's the one that slides into the slot. But
I
I
think
would still.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I would still go McMillan because I think that he would have the higher ceiling over Shep.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think I would prioritize McMillan. I think he has the highest ceiling of all of these wide receivers and that are going to be sitting out here. You know, I just think he makes the most sense. He was somebody that kind of profiled really well over the offseason too. So I just think he makes the most sense. I mean, we kind of know what Sterling Shepard is. I don't think at this point, with the injuries and everything else Sterling Shepard's had, like he's all of a sudden just going to turn into be something. So like I would shoot for the ceiling for uh Jalen McMillan if it was me.
Is there another super chat?
Yeah,
Appreciate you,
from Nick.
Nick.
I don't know if there was I know if there was another question that he had or not, but
Did he answer any of our questions about his bench or anything like that? Two wide receiver, two
oh,
running
there
back
we go.
league, one
Yeah, he
flex.
did say, on my bench is Purdy, Odunze, Ingram, Kendre Miller, backup Kamara, Demario Douglas. I offered Ingram for Rashad White, but the other guy wasn't budging, so I tried to think of a package.
So this goes back to the Najee for Waddle. You want to throw his bench up, so I don't have to venture too far off the where we're at.
On my bench, it's Purdy, Odunze, Ingram, Kendre Miller.
Yeah, I would think, Nick, that there has to be somebody in your league that could use tight end help with as bad as it's been. So I would go searching around. Kind of sounds like you might have already done this, but there has to be another potential pairing that you could come up with. I don't mind the Najee for Waddle deal, but then that leaves you super thin.
Yeah, I think that would be my issue, right? I mean, even on your bench, I mean Kendre Miller, but that's I mean obviously that he doesn't really become relevant all that much if something happened to Kamara, and then we'll see from there how that would look. So I think it's tough to move off that. That's why I was saying like if you could get another running back or something like that in exchange, because I said I'm perfectly okay with trading Najee Harris. Like if anybody who has Najee Harris, you should be looking to flip him. I don't know if his value will be any higher than what it is right now after really two strong weeks in a row. I mean, he's finished as almost an RB1 in two straight. Or no, excuse me, yeah, in PPR leagues. Or no, he was the RB10 2 weeks ago against the Raiders, and he was RB17 last week. But um, I wouldn't expect this kind of production every single week. Like I said, this gets much tougher as the season goes by. And they still have two matchups against the Ravens, which we just talked about the Ravens being one of the best defenses against the run. Cleveland's been middle of the road. Cincinnati has been terrible against running backs. Again, they get Cleveland again. Like their schedule becomes much more difficult. So, like trying to flip him, I think is the right move. But you do become pretty thin though at running back by making that move as well. So that's where like if you could get like a go to, I mean, someone like a Tyrone Tracy or like a Trey Benson, like another piece that another running back that you could stash with your bench or whatever, just in case something were to happen, I would feel better about it than than what it is. But I mean, I on the surface, yeah, I like the trade.
Yeah. Appreciate you all for the coming through with the super chats. Gatlin, can I get Jettas for BTJ/Cup? 4-3, need wins, 7 out of 12. Trying to make a juggernaut. I mean, it's possible depending on what their situation is. Like, let's say, it's possible they had a combination of like Jefferson, Ayuk, and Godwin, right? Like that's a legitimate combo of receivers that team might have. So I think that all just depends on like, do they need that depth or not? Like that's really what it comes down to, and like how hurt are they for just like filling out a lineup? Which, with the way everything has gone, quite possible. But it's probably gonna be in a vacuum. I would think that'd be a little light, but I don't think it'd be too far off, depending on like the injury situation of the team you're trying to trade with. I think you could, Nick. You know your league better than, obviously, way better than us. Like if it's active enough that you think you'd be able to do that, I think you could look at trying to do something like that. But I would try and have like that secondary move already in the works before I did the Najee deal. Like
Yeah, I
I'd
tend
be
to
hitting
agree.
the phones
Yeah.
because you don't want to be left out in the cold with not being able, and then you also don't want to be like, oh well, fuck. Now I don't have running back depth. I'm gonna take a loss on trading Kelsey. You know what I mean? Just to be able to fill that RB3 spot. So I would try and have that RB move kind of ironed out already before I did that.
Yeah.
Tingley, AO. Help rank these in order that you'd start. Douglas, Franklin, Shepard, Tutu, Tolbert. This is going to be Douglas, Tolbert, Shepard, Tutu, Franklin.
This would be Tolbert.
I don't
Yeah,
have it.
Tolbert, Douglas, Shepard, Tutu, Franklin. Yeah, I don't know. You might have said the same thing.
I
That's
had
how
Douglas first.
Yeah, I think it's close between those two. I think Tolbert and Douglas are pretty close.
Yeah.
I would slightly lean Tolbert to Douglas, just like the offense, just a little bit more. I know it seems a little crazy with how bad what we saw, but they coming off their bye, some of the situations here, I think Tolbert's a pretty good bet here.
TC, let's say you have Bijan, Brees, Pollard, Najee, London, Nico, Puka, Addison, Mooney, McBride, Chiefs, 49ers, Boswell, Dak. Would you trust Dak to success or try to find another QB?
So this could be a spot where you take Najee because you have Bijan, Brees, and Pollard, so you have the depth there to be able to flip a Najee Harris. That's what I would look to do. We've talked about that. But man, this is such a good team having London, Nico, Puka, getting Nico and Puka back. Here Puka within the next probably week, and then Nico within 2 weeks. But yeah, I think you probably could. I do think that Dak's like demise, I think, is a little overdone here. People are kind of flying off the deep end. Like I get it on some level, but I also think there's a scenario where they bounce back pretty well. And this is still a team that has a really bad defense. They're gonna throw the ball a lot. So I think you probably could, like if you wanted to try to take like Najee and Dak and try to go find somebody who maybe needs a running back and you try to flip somehow. Like I would want more than, unless you're trading for like an upper echelon quarterback. But I think if it's one of the other ones, but I also would ask yourself what quarterbacks are available on waivers because this team is really solid. Like I don't think like I think in a scenario here, like depending on what other quarterbacks are out there, maybe you could just add another quarterback and just kind of stream matchups or whatever on a week to week basis versus trading for a quarterback. 'Cause I always hate trading for quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, and I was gonna take the not necessarily streaming angle, but dropping one of those defenses, and seeing if you can just like on a week to week basis until like Dak starts to pop back up. Because I do think he will. Like I don't think I don't really not that they don't have a choice, but I think the running game, as much as they've tried to get it going, is just going to be average to below average for the remainder of the year. Like I don't think anything's changing there. So hopefully after this bye week, they realize they need to just come out firing and get fucking CeeDee Lamb more involved. Raylan, Reed, Dobbs, Mostert, Tank, McMillan, or Waddle. Let me Reed. That's a
This is
really
gonna be
nice,
Reed.
yeah, really nice bounce back spot for Jaden Reed. PCE dude, Steelers, or Lions.
I think it's Lions. Lions against the Titans this week. So yeah, I would go to Titans. I know the Steelers are pretty like, especially with Daniel Jones. You're kind of like licking your lips a little bit here with how good this Pittsburgh defense is. But I think I would go Lions. The Lions are allowing the second most sacks in the league right now. Um, so I think I'll go Lions.
I would go Steelers, but it's close.
And I do not blame you for that. Like Steelers, I think Steelers are the much safer pick just because of how incredible that defense has been. But
Jonathan, 12-man full PPR 2-5 just ended a 5-loss streak. Let's go. Hurts, Achan, Gibbs, AJB, Amari Kincaid, Jennings, Koo, Broncos, Warren, Brownworthy, Pearsall, Tolbert, Wright, Henry. Should I give up on playoff hopes?
no, so like this is one of those teams that like you could see like really going on a run. Like you can see why that you are 2-5 because of what happened with Achan just falling off a cliff once Tua got hurt. AJ Brown missing those 3 or 4 weeks obviously hurt. Amari Cooper being a part of the Browns hurt. But like this is a really solid team and like a team that over the second half that could just go on a run. Like Achan with Tua back, score. I think he gets back to being the guy that we thought he was going to be and who started out to be, where he scored 20 plus fantasy points in each of the first 2 weeks of the season. And so that's a huge boost for him. AJ Brown being back obviously is a big boost. Gibbs finally going off last week. Like this feels a lot like a team that I think that could go on a pretty strong run. Like for me, I think it depends too. Like in your league, like is it like how does it play out? Like is it only like the since I assume 12-man? Yeah. So like is it top three make the playoffs in each division? Like do you have divisions, or is it just an overall where the top six make it? But either way, you're probably in a position where you're probably in only a game or two back, probably at first. I would assume, depending on how your league is. Now, if it's if you're on the wrong side of a wrong division, maybe, but even at 2-5, like there's still enough. There's still plenty of weeks left before the fantasy playoffs start. So this is definitely not a team that I would be looking to give up on.
No. And I would see if I can move Kincaid. Like obviously he hasn't been good or great or good for fantasy purposes, but like just based off of like the weight of his name, like see if you can move him to like just like pick anything else back up, because there's not going to be too many weeks I'd want to start Amari and Kincaid together, and Hunter Henry is really starting to come on with Drake May at the helm. So I would just see if I could just move him for whatever, just to try and pick up another piece at running back or wide receiver. Jason, appreciate you guys. Thanks for doing this. Good luck, everyone. Good luck to you, Jason. And no problem. It is what we are here to do. All we ask for in return is just click those two little buttons, thumbs up and the one that says subscribe. That's all we ask for. Joey, Adams or Neighbors in a flex? That's going to be Neighbors for me.
Yeah, I agree. I would go. Man, I like start both, but yeah, because both are top 15 wide receivers for me. Yeah, I would do that.
Rank these tight ends rest of the season in a half PPR: Ingram, Henry, Komet, or Otten.
Ingram would be one.
I would keep it in this order, but I think I would flip Otten and Komet.
Interesting. I think I would go Ingram, Komet 2, Henry 3, and then Otton 4.
Knicks, Geno, Russ, or Darnold for Ivan.
Ooh. I think it's gonna be Sam Darnold. Let me see.
It's going to be Darnold for me.
Yeah, Sam Darnold against the Rams.
Rashad, Bucky, or Tracy in a PPR. I'm actually going to go Rashad White here in a full PPR.
Yeah, I mean he's still the pass catching running back. We've talked about full PPR. I think that's what you want.
And now you have Bucky dealing with a toe injury. So if he were to miss or be limited, that's obviously going to open up more looks for Rashad White as well. Fu, Kev, I'll let you take this one over Bucker or Aubrey.
Who I don't know how you ended up. How did you get both of these guys? Like, I feel like in fantasy leagues, like this was like, you know, two of the top
Yep.
kickers. I don't know how you got them, but like it would be Aubrey for me. It's just uh like Bucker's, obviously I think just as talented of a kicker, but Brandon Aubrey has been like fantasy points per game wise is like just below number 2. That's because Cyber pulled ahead of him. But like is definitely, one of the top fantasy kickers has been all year, despite the Cowboys offense being as bad as it is. So I would still stick with Aubrey.
Kev has been in his kicker bag when we get this question, and instead of Kev being like, why do you have two kickers? Kev saying, how'd you get both? Kev just all about that kicker life now. Love to see it. Would you trade Waddle for Marvin Harrison Jr. half PPR? I would not. I want Waddle. With Tua coming back, I would rather have Waddle.
Yeah, it's tough with it's tough with um
Kyler.
yeah. I mean, and really I just feel like a lot of it's Drew Petzing. We keep talking about it. I feel like I've
Yeah.
said his name multiple times the last couple weeks, but like he just does not do a very good job of running this offense. Like this passing offense should be so much better than it is with Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. And like you feel like this offense should be one we talk about as like one of the top 12 to 15 passing offenses in the league. It just really hasn't felt like that. I know Harrison had that couple game breakout, but then he kind of fell right back down to earth. And then with both Waddle, I do still think obviously I really like Waddle. I think Waddle's top 20 wide receiver. I think I would be okay with it depending on I don't hate the trade, right? So I think there's still a scenario over the second half of the season where Marvin Harrison, as he gets more and more activated with the offense, that he could end up being just the guy. Where Waddle would need Tyreek Hill to go down for him to be the guy.
Another one for you, Kev. Which kicker do you want here rest of the season?
It's going to be Austin Seibert. Seibert is he's number 1 overall in fantasy points per game for kickers right now. He's been incredible every single week. I think he has one game where he scored 9. Everything else other than that has been double-digit fantasy points every single week. Now, don't get it twisted. I really like Reichert as well. I think he's a really solid option, like top 8 kicker rest of season, and he's become like my new Austin Seibert because for like 4 or 5 weeks in a row, I was saying, why are we not picking up Austin Seibert? Why are we not picking him up in my videos? And he finally got rostered, had a big bump this week. And then now we're to Will Riker, who's in the same boat, who's just been on a tear and is still only rostered in like 10% of leagues. So, but it would be Seibert, Riker, then McLaughlin. McLaughlin takes a pretty big hit. He was a top 10 kicker as well. But then now with all these injuries, I just don't love this offense nearly as much.
Devo has a little problem here. We need to keep trade cut to make room for Brooks and TJ Hawkinson. So first off the bat, we're gonna drop Baker with you having Burrow now with the injuries to that Tampa Bay offense, and then we need one other drop here out of this group, and I'm probably gonna go Kraft.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Okay, nothing changes there. TB, D Hop, Hunt, or Harrison the flex. I'm gonna go Hunt.
I agree.
Carpenter, Nix, Russ, Gino.
There's Bo Nix.
I would go Gino, but I don't hate the Knicks call. Shane, have Hunt, Pacheco, and IR. What is Pacheco's workload when he comes back? Should I consider trading one or the other?
So good news on Pacheco is that he posted on his old Instagram yesterday him running on a treadmill. So it doesn't sound like he's too far away from returning. Probably still another 2 weeks, maybe 3 before he's back. I think it's going to be a true like split backfield. I think you see Pacheco and them just continue to split touches here. Obviously, you're working Pacheco back from a pretty significant injury that he'll be working his way back from. So I don't think you're going to just lean right into giving him all these touches. Kareem Hunt, um, like I said, like Kareem Hunt, like if you were just looking at his stats, like you would think that he's been good, but like on a per touch basis, he hasn't actually been that great. But um, but still, I think they end up just splitting touches at this point, and so I think it's tough if you had to pick one. But the problem is you probably be better off like trading Pacheco just because I think they will take it easy on him, especially at least until the playoffs get here. But he also has the least amount of value where Kareem Hunt has the most value.
I feel like if you're gonna trade one of these guys, like you're probably like the person who's trading for them is probably gonna want like a package, like just to have them together. You know what I mean? Unless you're trading Pacheco to one of the top two teams in your league that can just like chill on him and don't want Hunt like clogging up their roster or something like that. But I think if you're trading, probably gonna have to be a package deal. I would think, or like that would make it easiest to move them. Ashton, start one. Mason Bigsby, JT.
I would start Mason.
Yeah, probably. I think you're right. I suck. One more question: Laporta or Kraft, and why, Kev?
Oh boy. Florida's got the we have this week. I'm drawing a blank.
Titans.
That's what I thought. Okay, want to make sure before I said it.
For me, if Jameson does indeed end up missing, I would go Laporta. If he appeals it and he doesn't end up missing it, I would go Kraft. And that to me just comes down to the available targets.
Hmm. So on the season, if you just look at it, like the Titans have actually been elite against tight ends so far this year. They're actually only allowing 6 fantasy points per game to tight ends, which is the second lowest rate in the league, just below the Eagles or just ahead of them. Where the Jaguars have allowed the seventh most points to tight ends so far this season. I was trying to do some quick research on the fly because I know that the Titans traded Ernest Jones today.
Yep.
So I was trying to see how much of an impact that would have for the tight end position, but I don't have the time to sit here and put through all that and try to look through it all up and see how big of an impact that would have. But um, I just think on the surface, just matchup related and everything for this, like I think if Jameis were to miss, then I think you probably do just go Laporta because he is going to, like we saw last year, right, with Jameis when Jameson Williams wasn't as involved, that we saw that that that's when he got this huge bump. I mean, when he was seeing 18 to 20% target share, he hasn't been seeing that. Laporta hasn't with Jameson Williams on the field. So I think if he was out, then I would go Laporta. If he plays, then I would go with Tucker Kraft.
Dobbs, Terry, Waddle, JSN. This one for Ashton. This is going to be Terry and Waddle.
Agreed.
But I will say if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, then I would flip Terry to Dobbs. Bruticus got offered Tracy for Rico straight up.
I want Tyrone Tracy.
If this is just a stash, I would hold on to Tracy. If you need someone to like plug in on a week-to-week basis as like an RB2 flex play, I would take Rico. Tank or Chubb? God.
It's gonna be Tank Bigsby for me.
No.
I know historically Nick Chubb has been one of the few running backs that have gotten there against the Ravens run defense, but this is not the same Nick Chubb. And so the Ravens run defense has been awesome this year. And so like it's just not a great matchup for him.
Yeah. DB Sam Regino is going to be Darnold for me. I think for you as well, too, Kev.
Yeah, Sam Darnold.
Kyler or Caleb for Shane. That's going to be Caleb for me.
Agreed. Caleb Williams.
PFH, Andrews or Pitts.
I'm gonna go Mark Andrews.
I'm going to go Pitts on this one, but it's close.
I think the argument, the case against Pitts is this week is that they're playing the Browns and how much do they even push them at all? And so we know if you allow the Ravens, excuse me, to be run heavy, the Ravens will just run it all day. And this game definitely sets up as a game that could be that way if the Browns aren't able to get much going. So that's like the case against Mark Andrews. I think that's the way I would look at it if I were you. Like if you think that the Ravens are just going to blow the doors off the Browns or just manhandle them the whole game and keep it that way, then just go Kyle Pitts because Mark Andrews is only going to really get there on a pretty heavy pass game script.
Yeah, and I think if Mark Andrews weren't left fucking wide open the entire night, we'd be looking at this a little bit differently as well. Chris Kreider. I think there was a Steelers fullback. Definitely Kreider. Can't remember what the first name was.
And looks like
It's right above it. I think.
trade away Demont to get Malik Neighbors. Have wide receivers Lamb, Downs, Worthy, Pearsall. Have Demont, Connor, Williams, Hubbard. feel like this is robbing Peter to pay Paul. Because
Ooh.
like you take away, you trade away Dave Montgomery for Malik Neighbors, and on the surface, I'm perfectly okay with doing that. But you get Malik Neighbors, so now you have CD and Malik Neighbors and Downs and Worthy Pearsall. But now you have James Conner, Javonte Williams, and Hubbard at running back. And I don't know if I love that as much. Connor scares the hell out of me to roster. Like I want depth behind him um because like I just every year. I mean, he hasn't played. I don't think he's played a full 17 or full game season. I don't know if ever in his career. And so like you're always just kind of waiting for something to happen, which I guess you shouldn't be playing that way, but that's just the way. That's what would worry me with this. Oh, sorry, Kyron Williams. Okay, well that changes the math. I was thinking that was. I guess it could have been either one, but yeah.
My
So
mind
that
went immediately to Javante as well. But yeah, I would do that trade.
yeah, I'm okay with that then. You still have Kyron. Yeah, that changes the math for me anyway.
Yeah. Trade question here from Raylan. Would we trade Brees, BTJ, and Waddle for Amon-Ra and Walker in a half PPR? I would, yes. I would take the Amon-Ra Walker side.
Yeah, I want the Amon-Ra and Walker side. And also appreciate that, Chris. Appreciate the super chat. Really do appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thanks, Chris. Dan Kreider? I think it might have been Dan Kreider. I don't think it was Chris Kreider. It was Dan Kreider. Dobbs or Waddle? That's going to be Waddle for me.
His avatar or whatever picture here for his is exactly how this fantasy football season is felt, honestly.
Yeah. No shit.
It's Waddle for me.
Tua or Baker is going to be Tua.
Yeah.
Kelsey or Henry? This is going to be Kelsey for me.
Yeah.
7 leaves, rest of season. Odunze, Tolbert, Demario Douglas.
Rest of season, I think I go Odunze, Douglas, Tolbert.
I would just go in reverse order of what this is for me personally. I love Odunze, but I think it's going to be such a fucking headache between him and Keenan Allen. Like, I don't think Odunze is going to get the targets this year to make me feel better about that. Champ Ain. Someone dropped Aubrey in my league. I already have Cyber. Should I swap them?
It's like the ultimate question for me here.
6 to midnight.
I'm telling you, dude. I was on Austin Cyber before. It was cool, dude. I actually just even being on Austin Cyber at all, whether it was cool or not, I'm probably the only one because there's not a lot of there is a very little kicker content, if any, out there. Most of it's just rankings that you can look at, and that's it. So like I'm probably actually the only one that's been on that train. But but like I still lean Brandon Aubrey.
How about that?
Very close.
Sorry.
Who would you go with?
I wouldn't go with anyone. I was looking up Dan Kreider on Pro Football Reference and realized he's from my wife's hometown. Didn't know that. It is Dan Kreider, by the way. Wasn't Chris Kreider. I think we had another white running back. His first name started with Chris. I think that's why I'm mixing it up. Really have any fantasy value now that D-Hop is gone. He's going to be what he has been. He's going to be a volatile boom bust kind of guy. Inefficient targets. It's going to be the same thing. I don't think a lot changes, to be honest. And truthfully, D-Hop wasn't a full-time player anyway. Like he's been rotating in a bunch since the season started. So I don't think it changes. It doesn't change anything for me. Pickens or DJ Moore rest of season. It's going to be DJ Moore for me. quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's probably DJ Moore. I think I agree.
It's gonna bother me till I figure out what other running back I was trying to think of. Need a flex here for Champagne. Henry, McConkey, Ridley, or Madison. Think I'm going Hunter Henry on this one, honestly.
You know, you would think with his possible popular name of Chris, you think there'd be more, but there's only been one running back in Steeler history with the name Chris, or actually two. Sorry, two. Chris Rainey, 2012.
And Fu Tamatu Ma'afala.
Yeah, but there was a Dick Christie though that had the name in his. That was in 1958. In case you're wondering.
Who am I thinking of? I'm just picturing big white dude with the big neck roll. Maybe it wasn't Chris. Anyway, Chris Rainey. My God. Did you answer this one, Kev?
I'll keep Ridley or Madison. I think I would just go Hunter Henry.
Yeah. Too hype. 6-1, 12-man half PPR. Need to cut 2. Jennings, Thielen, McMillan, Hopkins, Lockett, and Tucker. Thielen.
And Trey Tucker.
Another one from Champagne. Myers, Olave, or Zay. I mean, if Zay plays, I would go Zay. If not, I'm going Olave.
Yeah, I agree.
Amika in the flex, Smitty, BTJ, or Higgins. This is going to be Higgins for me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Probably there was a Chris Kreider who played hockey.
Maybe that's
Played left wing for the New York Rangers.
for the Rangers, yeah. Man,
we're getting full rundown on the Chris Kreider.
I love it.
But I also have 10 people named Chris in my family, so it gets wild over here. My brother's name's Chris, in case you were curious. I mean, I knew you weren't, but I just thought I'd throw it in there so I could feel relatable.
I don't think I have. I don't even know if I know anyone named Chris, like a close friend. You know what I mean?
You don't see Chris's anymore, though. I mean, but you don't see anybody with like names like that. Like my name, Kevin. Like, there's nobody names your kid Kevin anymore. Now it's like, just off the wall names, Mason, and so, Cade,
I was waiting for more.
Bryson,
Bryson.
Who names your kid Bryson? I mean, who does that?
Good luck to that kid wherever he's at.
Yeah.
Tingley, thoughts on Kyle this week? Should I stream someone else? Caleb, Bo, May, Gino, Russ. So I didn't rank out my quarterbacks this week, so I can't help you there, Tingley. But I do know I would stream Caleb over Kyler.
I have Caleb ahead of Kyler. I have Caleb at I believe 8. Yes, I have Caleb at 8. Yeah, Caleb at 8, Kyler at 9. Who were the other ones? I guess it doesn't really matter at that point. I pretty much answered this question, but the rest are Bo Nix. I have at QB 11. Drake May. Where do I have Drake May? At 24. So he's the lowest that I'm on. Gino for me is at 17. All over the place here. And Russell I have at 20. So
Harry, What's up, guys? Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Harry. Need to play 2 running backs, full PPR, Jones, Achane, Dobbins. Please help.
I would sit J.K. Dobbins.
Yep. Chef, not sure who to drop for Tracy. Have Singletary, but I don't know if I should drop him. Pearsall, McMillan, or Odunzi for Tracy.
Probably Ricky Pearsall. I mean, I don't actually mind dropping Devin Singletary for Tracy, but
Yeah, I
I
mean,
would
if
rather
you're- if
I would
you're
rather
not
see how that
starting-
plays out.
Yeah. Should I drop Mayfield for one of these, Darnold, Geno, or Tua? The answer is yes. And for this week, I want Darnold. And if all those quarterbacks are available, I'd be fine just streaming week to week. So I would go Darnold.
I agree.
Harry has a trade question. Got offered Deontay, Chase Brown, DJ Moore for CMC and BTJ.
I would have wanted the CMC and BTJ sign.
Yeah. Good move.
Wait, you said
Car-
you said he
What?
declined it. Oh, never mind. Phrase that wrong.
Yeah.
Never mind. Don't remind me. Keep going.
Reading comprehension.
Yeah.
Adams,
I mean, I am from
Reed-
Missouri, so we don't have high standards here.
Adams, Reed, or Chuba in the flex is going to be Reed for me.
Agreed.
Rest of the season, Rico or Chase.
It's gonna be Chase Brown.
Chase Brown for me as well. Should I drop Addison for Mooney or Wandell or Hopkins?
I would probably hold. Well, Addison worries me with the emergence of TJ Hawkinson coming back. That's what worries me.
Correct. And I'd probably take the swing on Hopkins.
It would be Mooney for me.
Okay.
If I'm dropping Addison, it'd be for Darnell Mooney.
Mooney would be my second choice if that helps you out, Champagne. This week, Adams. We already had that one. Gatlin. Hopefully, you guys get to this. You know we will. Can I get Reek for Cup 1-for-1? Or should I pick someone like Bucky and throw him in the trade?
You might be able to do that, but you probably would have to add something else into it, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you could try doing it for Bucky Irving. I have no problem doing that whatsoever. Worst they're going to do is line it.
Caleb, good luck at starter rest of season. I think that still remains to be seen. To give you a non-answer, the tear that he's been on has coincided with him just being able to play like bottom of the barrel defenses. So I think this is obviously a step in the right direction for him, but I want to see him play a good defense before I say yes or no on that.
And what would worry me, because I will say, they get Washington obviously this week in Arizona, so 2 really good matchups. I think the New England matchup is good, but we have to keep in mind here, they haven't played a divisional game yet. So, this is the rest of season after, the Washington, Arizona, then you get New England. But after that, then you get Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, at San Francisco, Minnesota, Detroit again, and then Seattle in the fantasy championship. So, that run isn't
That's
not
rough.
terrible, but it's rough. I think for the next 2 weeks, anyways, I think he's a really strong start.
Yeah. I love this, by the way. Cooperation Cup. I want to use that going forward. For Kyler Murray, no, we're gonna keep Cup. We're gonna keep Cooperation Cup.
Yeah, I agree.
Appreciate you, Chris. If the rest of you who are rocking with us for the first time, or if you've been with us and you haven't subscribed yet, would love it, would much appreciate it if you would change that and do so. Alex, look for a trade or not yet. 16-man league, 11 place at 3 and 4. Burrow, Lamb, Olave, Dobbins. How are you 3 and 4 with this in a 16-team league? I didn't even get through the rest of this. Monty Bauer, Shakir on the bench, Deontay Mostert, Andrews, Tillman, Thielen. Who should I try and target? I don't get it, Alex. I do not understand. You like, this must be a case where you've just run into buzzsaws. Like, this would be a good team in like a 12-team league, much less a 16. Like, I personally don't think you have to do anything. I understand, getting the itch to want to do it, but I I don't think you have to.
No, I don't think you do. Like, if you wanted to
Crazy.
do something, maybe you could try to flip like Deontay or something like that. But
Sell high on Andrews. People are hurting for tight end and 10-man leagues, 16-man. Like, you should be able to get something noteworthy in return for Andrews coming off the game he just had. And he's had a couple good games in a row now, so that would be the only thing I would potentially look at. I think this has to be a case where like your points against are near the top of the league. Like, there's no other way. Is Tyler Boyd a possible sicko pickup? I mean, he could be. I mean, he went had 5 targets, caught all 5 for 40 plus yards. But I don't think that's a situation where you're going to be picking Boyd up and then starting him. So
I agree.
Phew. Just want to say I really appreciate both of you for helping me with my fantasy questions and everyone else. Really look forward to both of you every week. Again, thank you guys. Like and sub. Hey, man. Glad that you're getting any type of takeaway from what we do. It's
And for what it's worth, I don't know. I can't speak for Cody, but I can speak for myself. This is my favorite show we do every single week, whether it's like recording stuff or whatever. This is always my favorite show of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. So means a lot, Fu. And I really hope that we haven't been fucking up your name for the past 2 or 3 years that you've been rocking with us. So if you wanna correct us now would be the that would be the time to do it. Look at that. Full circle here. Uncle Kev. I was thinking about it. The only other Chris I can think of is my buddy's dad's name. Shout out Chris Gerhard.
I feel like we back to my, I don't know why I'm still thinking about this, but that's my point about like we don't really see like names of Kevin's anymore or like stuff like that. But then again, I guess whenever I was a kid, like like people weren't naming their kids Ethel anymore or Peggy or you know what I mean, Betty. So like,
Walter.
I guess we just go in cycles, where names are popular.
Yeah.
So eventually,
I feel
Kevin,
like I've seen like some of those names like starting to come back too.
like Kevin's going to come back at some point. It's going to be popular.
Yeah.
Because there for a while, like it was like when I was growing up, like it was like a top 20 name. Like Chris was like a top 5 name, like of like every year, and now it's like no one wants to fucking name their kid Chris, or Chad, I mean, not offensive to anybody that's named Chad here. If anybody's named Chad, I'm just saying,
I do mean offense if your name is Doug. Just a.
I always wonder how like parents came up like real like Doug. Like, did that really sound like, you know what? That's a Doug right there.
He looks like a Doug.
But I guess it's usually Douglas, right? I mean, I don't think people name their kid Doug, but still.
Still, does the less really do anything for you?
Clarence. I've always thought was like a kind of dorky name. Again, if your name is that in the chat, we're not, no offense.
Anyway, champ Mayfield or Burrow is going to be Burrow.
Yeah, easily.
Got Devo in here still talking about sopressata.
What is that?
It's like a deli meat. Little sopressata. No offense to any of the Italians I just offended with that with that rendition. Should I drop Lazard or Doozy to waivers to pick up a combo of Douglas, Tolbert, Myers, or what combo of those would you take altogether?
I don't want to drop a doozy because if something happened to one of the other wide receivers, we kind of saw it early in the season. So like I don't want to drop him. I'm okay with dropping Lazard at this point. I think he'll still have some weeks just because the chemistry he has with Rodgers, but with Adams now there, it's just not. It's going to be way harder to predict. I think we've already had this question. I would, I slightly prefer Tolbert to Douglas, but I think if you're talking just completely rest of the season, I think it's extremely close. You can make an argument for both.
Yeah, I'm with you. And we had a version of this earlier, 7 leaves. I was on Douglas over Tolbert rest of the season, but it's close. D-Man, London Reek, BTJ, Henry Hunt, Tua, Kraft starting right now. Should I start Hunter Henry or James Conner over Kraft and any of the flex options respectively?
I would start Conner over Kraft.
I think yeah, I was gonna say maybe even I would go Hunter Henry over. Wait, is that Derrick Henry and Hunt? Is Kraft in the flex? Because if it's just a tight
I'm guessing
end,
that's Derrick Henry just because I just assume with Hunt being there, that's the only 2 running backs that we have here that are starting
yeah.
right now. So I guess that's
Then
Derrick Henry.
I would
Kareem
go.
Hunt.
Yeah, it's just throwing me off. It says or James Conner over Kraft. So if Kraft is in your flex, I would go Conner. If Kraft is in your tight end spot, I would go Hunter Henry over Kraft.
Agreed.
Dude, LIC or KC? It's gonna be Kansas City. It's gonna be KC for me. And then I'll let you answer the question there, Kev.
I don't want to drop Bucker, but I probably would play Lutz over Bucker this week.
There you have it. 7 leaves. Leaves? Appreciate you.
I think that was the other question I see. 12-man PPR, 5-2. Team is Hurts, Monty, Bijan, Neighbors, McLaurin, McBride, H.A. Jets, and Jake Bates. Bench Lazard, Odunze, McConkey, Madison, Pearsall, Vidal, Waddle, Puka IR. Any moves to make? Bijan, Neighbor, McLaurin, Bride at tight end, H.N., Black, Jets. Bench. Like I mentioned, I think you can drop Alvin Lazard at this point with Devontae Adams there. I like the Pearsall stash. I like the Vidal stash. You're obviously about to have to make a decision anyway because Puka's about to be back. You have to drop somebody for him. But like I think if you wanted to try something, maybe try to flip Alexander Madison while he's had 2 really strong performances in a row. You could look at something like that. I mean, you're kind of selling you're trading a team starting running back, though I don't think he's in a great spot rest of season.
No.
So I'm perfectly okay with doing that, with trying to take him. As far as your stars are concerned, I think you're in a really good spot. I mean, Monty and Bijan, Neighbors, McLaurin. That's probably the thing that you could upgrade the most would be wide receiver, just because past them you don't really have. Oh, I guess you have Waddle and Puka coming back. I just talking around in circles here now because I forgot about those guys. But so I think you're pretty solid in all your starting positions. But like the number one thing, like take Madison, like even flipping him for like a Tyrone Tracy or a Chase Brown, like something like that. I think you might be able to. I don't know about Chase Brown, but I definitely think Tyrone Tracy, you could definitely do that. Like, I just want players with a little more upside, and I don't think
Yeah.
Madison offers that. And so, like, if I was going to do anything, but you're already at 5-2, so like you're in an incredible spot, and just the fact that you're going to get Puka back, be able to slide him in is a good spot. Plus, your kicker, you don't need Jake Bates. I think you can do much better than Jake Bates at kicker. Will Riker, somebody we've talked a lot about already, but he is he's a top 4 kicker this week, but he's been phenomenal. Um, he has been a top 5 kicker in 3 of the last 4 weeks. Let's put it that way. Um, I just think there's much better options than Jake Bates, but I digress.
Devo, appreciate you, man, coming through with the super chat and your coach cutting his teeth at IUP, a local college in we're close to where I used to live in Pennsylvania. It's weird seeing the Hoosiers at 7-0. But you guys haven't played anyone in the Big Ten, and you're not going to either. So you lucked out. They skipped out on Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan. Not that Michigan's having a great year, but they haven't played anyone in the Big Ten. Sorry,
They
Devo.
they beat Patty Mahomes Jr. in Nebraska.
Oh God, that fucking kid.
It's gotten like it's not. I don't know if he's done anything lately, but like it got really weird. Like
It
really,
was
really
really
weird.
weird. It was really weird. Appreciate you though, Devo. Kyler for D Hop, or should I shoot higher? I think that's fine. But with the hype surrounding D Hop now, I honestly don't like. It's going to depend on the owner. I don't know if that gets it done, but I think that's fine because Kyler has not been great.
He did bounce back last week with a pretty solid performance. I think he was top 12 quarterback last week. He was actually top 5 quarterback last week. He was 21 fantasy points last week. The one real positive I will say for him right now is his rushing upside that he's provided, because outside of 2 weeks, he's had 40 or more rushing yards in every single game. And that's kind of the low mark because really he's at 57, 59, 45, 83, and 64. So that has definitely helped. Now, the passing yardage hasn't really been there. The highest it's been 266, but there's been a lot of like sub 200 games here, which is pretty brutal. But that rushing upside has definitely helped him for sure. And so, I mean, he does have 2 top 5 weeks over the last 3. I will mention that. And the one thing that I will say about Kyler that I really like, though, is his fantasy playoff schedule, because it is real nice. It is. As long as you can make it there, it is the Patriots, which is not really a defense that we're all that, especially their pass defense. It's not even something I'm not really all afraid of. But then you get Carolina, and then you get the Rams. Like, you can't really ask for a better 3-game stretch for a quarterback than that. And so, like, that is pretty enticing. But I would want something for that Chicago. They do get the Jets, which I don't know. The Jets defense is pretty banged up right now. So maybe if they can get some of those guys back, I really don't love it as much there. But past that, like they're after their bye week in week 11, it really kind of opens up where it could really be pretty good for Kyler. I will say that.
Froggy Man, Jawan Jennings if healthy, or Jaden Reed. This is going to be Jaden Reed for both of us. Amika, thoughts on Chargers DST this week? I think they're a solid play to be able to pick up and stream. Fine with them, like a top 8-ish.
Yeah, I think they're a top 5 defense this week. Yeah.
Yeah. Connor over BTJ or Hunt and a half PPR.
No, I would play BTJ and Hunt.
Ray, happy to have you. Amika, thoughts on my team? You're awesome, Amika. Love, Lamb, Higgins, Smitty, London, BTJ, Scary Terry, Kyron, Cook, Dowdle, Bigsby, Corum, Njoku, Kincaid, Tucker, Chargers. Really strong at receiver. I think you're fine at running back. You know, Njoku has now come back into the fold. I think this is a strong team. I like this team a lot. Here, our RB3 spot, potentially a little suspect, but I wouldn't want to make any kind of drastic moves to like shore up my RB3 spot. So I think you're good. Like that team a lot, Amika. Well done. Komet or Njoku. I'm going Njoku here.
Agreed.
Kincaid or Njoku. I'm going to be going Njoku again.
Agreed.
Is Otton viable? Yeah, I really like Otton. This, you know, if you have to pick somebody up on waivers and start them, I think you feel fantastic about Otton, given the situation that they're in with their wide receivers. Why Hunter Henry over Kraft? I just think Hunter Henry is going to see more targets. Is the main thing. I mean, I think Kraft their ceiling is similar, but I think the floor is higher with Hunter Henry. I mean, if Kraft doesn't catch that touchdown last week, that's a fucking dismal week out of Kraft. I think he only had 3 targets and 3 catches. So,
that's the issue, right? With Kraft. I think at the end of the day is that so he's only seen more than 4 targets twice all year. And that's the problem with Kraft right now. His production is all being fueled by touchdowns over the last 4 weeks. He has finishes of, he has 17, 25, 4 fantasy points, and then 12. But in the 17 game was then when he actually had 9 targets, 6 for 53. And then the following week, he had 4 for 88, but he scored 2 touchdowns. And then the Arizona game, he still only saw 4 targets, 2 for 13. And then last week against Houston, he was 3 for 33 and a touchdown. So, like, if he doesn't score a touchdown, like, he's pretty much not great. But like I've said, like, he's only seeing like a 11, 12% target share because there's so many different players here. Matchup's phenomenal for sure against the Jags. But as far as, Hunter Henry is concerned, Drake May's emergence and looking like a much better quarterback. I mean, we've now seen Hunter Henry have back-to-back, top 8 performances under his belt, and he's seen 5 and 9 targets just the last 2 weeks. So it's a really, the target distribution is definitely there. He could get you there further than just being able to score a touchdown like last week, 8 for 92, no scores. So I think that's the difference.
If Hopkins is healthy, would you play Waddle or Hopkins in a standard league? Sitting Deontay and Pittman for sure. Finally, Cup is back. Currently trying to trade for Evans. Hopefully, Deontay goes to a new team. Would be nice.
It's Waddle for me. And I would not be trying to trade for Mike Evans.
You said you would not?
No, not with the fact that he might not even be back until week 11 or 12. I mean, that's quite a bit. I mean, you're taking on. I mean, you're talking about a 4 or 5 week absence possible.
Yeah, I was looking that up earlier. Their bye week is week 11.
So then, maybe I doubt unless he has some miraculous comeback, he's probably back after the bye. So it's probably week 12 by the time you get him back. And so, like, it doesn't really make sense to me to do that.
Super Dave, glad to have you. Kev Ed, Gino or Caleb, that's going to be Caleb for both of us. Keenan, JSN, or Waddle, that's going to be Waddle for me.
Yep.
AP rocking with us. My apologies to Devo. I forgot. For some reason, I thought you guys skipped all of the top Big Ten teams. Did not realize you had Ohio State at the end of the year.
Oh,
Trade Jacob Javante and Ladd for JT and Zay. Lamar, JT, Kyron Jefferson, Zay, K9, Kittle are my starters. Dobbs, Lockett, Keenan, Ridley, Goddard on the bench. W or L?
I think it's probably an or a W. I think Zay is obviously top 24 wide receiver. JT could be a top 10 running back. I don't. Jacobs hasn't really been great this year. I do think Javante has been, much better, especially last week with the 2 touchdowns that he was able to score. But there's still some volatility there, obviously. Ladd just doesn't really matter to me all that much. It's this team that just doesn't throw the ball that much. It makes it hard to really love the way that this offense is being run.
Robertson, Tua or May to 6-point passing TD league.
2 all day.
Yep. Also, can't get anyone to take Marv off my hands for a running back. Davis, Singletary, Vidal, or Kendre.
I think you probably go Singletary for this week just because I think Vidal is a little bit pretty hard to trust at this point. Kendre Miller is in the same boat. Yeah, I'd probably just go Singletary.
It'd be Singletary or Kamani for me. Agent Some over on Twitch. Should I trade Jameson Williams, a 2025 third and 26 first for Garrett Wilson? Keeper league, keep 4, half PPR.
The pick part to me is wild. I've never seen a keeper league that you can trade like. I know. Like before the season starts, I've seen that, but like in a current season, being trading like a 2025 and 2026, like that's wild.
Especially if you're only keeping 4 too.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Feels like a little much.
By third pick, do you mean like third pick overall in the draft, or do you mean a third round pick? I think that's a huge difference.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even thinking this could just be just rounds in the overall draft. I was thinking like dynasty. Yeah, third round.
So third round, that doesn't really worry me. I don't really care at that point. If you're able to keep 4, I mean, it's not like great players you're giving up that's going to be coming through there more than likely.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm perfectly okay with doing that. You're getting away Jameis Williams. Yeah, I'm cool with doing that. And in 2026, we can worry about that later.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that threw me off. Are the Lions a top 3 defense this week?
Top 3, no. Top 8, yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now I'll have to sit 2.5 PPR, or we could just start 2. So if Debo plays, you're starting Debo. So I guess if Debo plays, I'm sitting BTJ and Higgins. If Debo does not play, you're obviously sitting him and BTJ.
Yeah, and remember I put Cup in your wide receiver spot. I would have him in the flex.
Is Sutton droppable? Yeah, I don't think you have to hold on to Cortland Sutton.
I mean, I don't know if I want to necessarily drop him unless it really would have to depend on the other option. Like, who are you picking him up for? I do think with Bo Nix playing better as of recently, I think there's could be some optimism for him. Don't get me wrong, like he's not great. Like I think he's more in like the probably in the 50 range in terms of overall wide receiver, but unless it's like a really thin league, I think he still holds some value. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's been not great. I mean, he has the highest he scored so far this year is yeah, I mean, he's had 14 and 15 in a 15 week. So he's had a couple top 36 weeks, but yeah. I don't think he's necessarily droppable unless it's like a really shallow league though.
What about trading Connor to get Neighbors instead of Monty? I mean, if you can do that, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm about that.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that gets it done, Chris. Sabrina wants to know Kamara or Waddle in the flex. Mm-mm-mm.
Um
I think Kamara's safer. Probably, I think I'm gonna go Kamara.
yeah, I think you kind of have to. There's a lot of ways that Kamara or Waddle is supposed to get there. At least with Kamara, he's still heavily involved in the passing game. I mean, even without Derek Carr, he has still been a player who's seen 7 or more targets in almost every game this year. So I think I would still stay with Kamara.
Froggy Man, how's my team? Hertz, Mixon, Jones, Jamar, Reed, and Joku, K9, Broncos D, Austin, Vikings D, Komet, Pickens, Jawan Jennings, Waddle, Bum, Means, Chase Brown. Any points of improvement? So dropping one of those defenses.
Yeah. Maybe taking like a Juwan Jennings and a Komet, trying to flip them for something else, like trying to trade high on those guys who have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of value right now. Would probably be for a running back if I was going to do it
Yep.
because you have a lot of wide receivers. I know you still have, Mixon and Aaron Jones and Chase Brown and Kenneth Walker, but I'm always looking trying to get, improve, running back wise. So I probably would look to do something like that.
I completely skipped over K9. So I think you can go and look for um something at wide receiver, but you have some options there for sure. That you can sell high on a couple of those guys. And last but not least, Super Dave, good call on Bateman last week, Cody. 1 of 1 anyway. Listen to Kevin drop Bateman 2010. At least you would have won regardless. And
To
also,
be to be fair,
to
to
be
be
fair,
fair, we didn't. I had no like. This was another situation where they didn't mention at all that this dude wasn't just going to play.
yeah,
Like we got like by multiple different last
couple
week.
guys.
Um, so like, and don't get me wrong, it got there like with Bateman. Like that's kind of what my argument with him has been all year. Is like in games that you could try to project a much more like pass heavy script. Like Bateman is a great play. Like he's been really solid this year in those situations. It's just on the flip side of that, whenever he's been, there's a lot of weeks too where they're just going to be able to run the ball and that's all they're going to do, and he's just not really going to go that valuable. But I will say for this year, I mean, I think this is Bateman's best year he's had, in the league. And so that coincides with a lot of the offseason reports about him and how good he looked, and there was a lot of excitement about him. But so yeah, I mean, I think yeah, I'll take the L though. I was wrong, obviously, because Winnington got you a 0, and if it makes you feel any better, I played Winnington in DFS and I got zeros. So fun times.
Ricky, thoughts on Demario Douglas this week? He's going to be like a mid wide receiver 3 for me. Is where I have him. Feel a little bit better about him in full PPR versus half PPR, but I think he's fine as like a wide receiver 3/flex play, as long as he's not bent over and can barely stand and sick. So hopefully he's feeling better. That was
Yeah.
that was another guy from last week.
Yeah, him, Debo Samuel.
Yeah, wild. Should I drop Broncos or Vikings for Bateman? If so, which one?
Drop the Vikings.
Yeah. Yep. Hoosier, thanks again, guys. Let the Titan bidding wars begin. Good night. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. But looks like we finally reached the end of the chat. Appreciate all you for rocking with us. This was a fun show tonight. If you have yet to do so, please hit us with a sub and a like. Kev, are you guys doing tomorrow or Friday for DFS?
I think we're gonna do Friday, but I need to confirm.
So either tomorrow or Friday, there will be a DFS show. If you are all into that, you can also join the Discord. We have a betting channel in there, Dynasty Redraft, all that stuff. So plenty of opportunity to get your questions answered. We'll also be going live on Sunday morning ahead of lock as well.
It was so odd for a lot of players. And that's what we're talking about. Like it was super frustrating. I know, just for me in like DFS, like having all those players, playing a lot of some of those players in DFS, and just having those zeros in my lineup really. I'm so on Douglas this week with lotteries, but this is the biggest. The Jets ranked 4th in cover 1 and 6th in cover 4. Target per out run rate for Douglas 27% for cover 1, 24 for cover 4.
There you go, Kev. Part of your DFS research.
Ricky's been out here using the fantasy points data suite. Love it. But no, I mean, yeah, and I don't even think it's not necessarily all that as well. It's just as long as he's not sick.
Yeah, he's clearly the go-to. It's him and Hunter Henry, because Jalen Polk, all my fucking Jalen Polk shares that I have in Dynasty, not looking great.
Yeah, I'm surprised Javon Baker hasn't even gotten a look.
I'm wondering with the concussion for Polk if this is the week that Baker comes up, and I'm also curious if we see Devontae Walker finally get the nod if Zay Flowers were to miss this week. Those are two guys I'd like to see. So that'll do it. Appreciate Ricky coming through with the research there at the end. I know we had some Pop Douglas questions, so if you stuck around for that, there's a little bit more research to feel better about that pick. Appreciate all you for rocking with us. Like I said, DFS coming tomorrow or Friday, and then another start sit show on Sunday. You can also hop into our absolutely free Discord as well. So thank you all for rocking with us. Hit us with that like and that sub. Good luck this week, and we'll talk to you all soon.